Hey, boys and girls, Cursed Curator Molly content. They're recovering the art of 1942. Today we have free paintings and free sculptures. First up is Freeing of the Slaves. It is an oil and tempera on canvas painting by American artist John Stewart Curry, created in 1942. It is an allegory to the Emancipation Proclamation and the abolition of slavery in the United States in 1864. It's exhibited at the Library's Quarries and the Brady Reading Room in the University of Wisconsin-Madison in Madison. History and description. This painting was originally intended to be displayed at the United States Department of Justice building in Washington, D.C., but was rejected because it was considered too controversial, which is crazy to me. Lloyd K. Garrison, the former law school dean of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, helped the artist complete the painting, which happened in 1942, during the 10-year period that he spent at the university as an artist in residence between 1936 to 1946. The final composition recalls others of Curry, such as Tragic Prelude, his version of John Brown. It is also filled with figures. From the left, the painting depicts groups of freed slaves who are leaving their farms under a stormy sky to walk behind Unionist troops. These troops march on as a new sunny day breaks in, standing for the end of the war and the emancipation of the slaves. A black man stands at the center of composition, with his arms outstretched and looking to the skies in a sign of gratitude. Behind him, there are other free black men and women. Some of them are making similar gestures at the feet of the joyful man. There are two corpses, one of a Union soldier to the left and the other of a Confederate. A national flag of the United States, complete with all the states of the Union, is proudly displayed at the center. Very cool. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Oh, this is a big one. Let's zoom it out a bit. Oh, this is beautiful. It's still crazy to me that this was rejected from, Department of Justice. Ugh. You would think eventually they would like, you know what, we rejected it. Let's bring it in now. But no, they never did. But this is beautiful. I love history like this. This is great. So let's go to the next one. Tragic Prelude. Well, we literally mentioned it the last one, but we talk about it now. Tragic Prelude is a mural painted by the American artist John Stewart Curry from the Kansas State Capitol building in Topeka, Kansas. It is located on the east side of the second floor rotunda. On the north wall, it depicts the abolitionist John Brown with a Bible in one hand, on which the Greek letters Alpha and Omega of Revelation 1:8 can be seen. In his other hand, he holds a rifle, referred to as the Beecher Bibles. He is in front of a Union Confederate soldiers, living and dead, a tornado and a prairie fire approaching. Immigrants with covered wagons travel from east to west. The Tragic Prelude is the bleeding Kansas period of 1854 to 1860, seen as the prelude to our dress rehearsal for the Civil War, a period of which John Brown was at the center fighting to prevent Kansas from being made a slave state. The term Tragic Prelude for this period of Kansas history is attributed by Curry to his patron, the newspaper editor William Allen White. However, the mirror has other figures in addition to Brown, as it turns a corner and continues on another wall, making it difficult to photograph in its entirety. The three figures are rarely discussed as part of the work. Chronologically, from right to left, are the Franciscan missionary Fray Juan de Padilla and Conquistador Coronado I. Europeans to visit the land that became Kansas, followed by a plainsman who had just killed a buffalo. It is by far Curry's most famous work. It is the only work of Curry's to have a book devoted solely to it. It is also well known as the source material for the album cover of the rock band Kansas' 1994 debut record. History. Emperor Gazette editor William Allen White began the campaign to get Curry to paint murals for his native Kansas rather than Wisconsin, whose university offered him his employment he could not find in Kansas. Other newspapers joined in, and the result was Kansas Murals Commission, chaired by Governor Walter Huxman. It was changed with choosing a Kansas artist or artist to create murals for the Capitol, as Missouri artist Thomas Hart Benton had done in Missouri State Capitol. Benton's very large mural was on the topic of, entitled, A Social History of Missouri. The commission decided not without some controversy, that in contrast with the Missouri State Capitol, where Benton was one of several artists, Curry will be the sole artist to create murals for Kansas Capitol. For the Kansas Capitol, on the theme of Kansas history. No state money was involved. White led a fundraising campaign that easily succeeded in raising money to hire Curry. Curry painted the Tragic Prelude from 1937 to 1942 using egg tempera and oils. It is 11 feet 4 inches, or rather 350 centimeters tall, and 31 feet 940 cm long. Curry's description. Curry later described the work as follows. Centered on the north wall, 31 by 11 uh, foot. Ugh, my glasses are fogging up. Is a gigantic figure of John Brown in his outstretched left hand, the Word of God, and in the right a picture Bible. Beside him, facing each other, are the contending free soil and pro-slavery forces at their feet. Two figures symbolic of the 1.5 million dead of the North and South. In this group is expressed a fratricidal fury that first flamed on the plains of Kansas, the tragic prelude to the last bloody feud of the English-speaking people. Back of this group are the pioneers in their wagons on the endless trek to the west. And back of all, the tornado raging in a fury through the prairie fire, fitting symbols of the destruction of the coming Civil War. In a newspaper interview of 1939, he explained that I want to paint him as a fanatic, for John Brown was a fanatic. He had the wild zeal of extremists, the fanatic for his cause, and we had the Civil War, with its untold misery. Later he wrote in a letter, I think he is a prototype of a great many Kansians. Some described as a Kansian, one who went about wreaking good on humanity. This might be the kernel of my conception. Rejection of the tragic prelude. The Kansas legislature rejected the mural and refused to hang it in the Capitol as planned. Curry left Kansas in disgust, abandoning the rest of his capital project. Did not sign for the other or completed work. Kansas pastoral, because he considered the project incomplete, he was selling the Capitol after his death. He planned first floor rotunda panels, never got beyond the preliminary sketches, much to the pleasure of some Kansians, and reflecting the views of the argumentists as employer of the Agricultural College of the University of Wisconsin. One panel blamed poor farming practices for the erosion of the dust storms of the 1930s, which were a really big thing. I believe that was the Dust Bowl, archival material. Today, her mural is in the Spencer Museum. Very cool. In popular culture, the image used as the album cover of the Kansas in 1934, the debut album of the rock band Kansas. Poster reparations t-shirts were made every year for the annual border war between the University of Kansas and the University of Missouri. That's very cool. Let's see this bad boy. This guy really knew what he was doing. He looked like a damn nut job for real. He really captured the nut job energy. One thing I've learned with this stuff is that governments will often not keep it in their bargain, which is annoying, very annoying. A shame, but this looks really cool. There's tons of symbolism going on here. But let's go to our next one. A balloon site, Coventry. A balloon site, Coventry is an oil-on-canvas painting undertaken in 1942 by the British artist Laura Knight. It features a group of people, mostly women, working to launch a barrage balloon on the outside of Coventry, an industrial city in the Midlands that was the target of a German bombing raid in November 1940, when over 10,000 incendiary bombs were dropped on the city. Knight had painted in for repairs, showing members of a women's auxiliary air force, RWAF, repairing a damaged barrage balloon. In early 1942, the ministry was so impressed that they've asked her to paint the WAF in action. She was commissioned by the War Artist Advisory Committee. I can word, I promise. And paid 100 guineas for her work, which was undertaken in July and August 1942. A balloon site was displayed at the 1943 Royal Academy Summer Exhibition, along with Ruby Lofus screwing a breech ring. Maybe we'll see that one next time. We'll see. Background. From March 1939, Coventry had been protected by barrage balloons. The city was an industrial target and contained many aircraft factories. On the outskirts, the balloons were filled with hydrogen and were either set in fixed sites or adapted for mobile deployment. They were fixed by steel cables, which forced bombers to fly at higher altitudes than they would have preferred. In this way, the bombing was less accurate, and the airplanes more vulnerable to ground-based anti-aircraft fire. Nutrition was not infallible, and on the 14th November 1940, Coventry was the target of a German bombing raid when over 10,000 incendiary bombs were dropped on the city. From April 1941, women were used to operate the balloons, a crew of 14 women replacing the 10 men that did so previously. Understandable, very understandable. During the Second World War, the British government formed the War Artists Advisory Committee, or WAC. Under the chairmanship of Sir Kenneth Clark, director of the National Gallery, the committee was to draw up a list of artists qualified to record the war at home and abroad. One of those commissioned on several occasions was the British painter Laura Knight, who had painted for the Canadian government during the First World War. By early 1942, she had painted 4 pictures for WAF. The most recent was In for Repairs, showing members of the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, WAF, repairing a damaged barrage balloon. The Air Ministry was so impressed with the picture and its potential to help recruiting. The ministry asked the WAF if Knight could be commissioned again, and in October 1941, she received a request from Mr. Dickey, the Secretary of the WAC, to paint members of a Women's Auxiliary Air Force based at RAF Withal, the regional headquarters of RAF Balloon Command, which was 6 miles, 10 kilometers from Birmingham. She worked on the piece in July and August 1942, and was paid 100 guineas for her work. I don't know what how a guinea is, but it sounds based. A balloon sight was displayed at the 1943 Royal Academy Summer Exhibition, as was Ruby Loftus screwing a breech ring, a painting Knight had just completed. Both works were warmly received. As at 2026, the painting was held by the Imperial War Museum, which sounds based as fuck. Painting. A balloon sight is an oil painting canvas measuring at 102.5 by 127 centimeters. It shows the launch of a barrage balloon on the outskirts of Coventry. In the middle distance are several damaged buildings, and the partial ruins of Coventry shown in the background. In the foreground, 2 groups work on launching the balloon. The group in the foreground, composed of 3 women and a man, are under the leadership of Jane, or rather, yes, Jane Bryden. I thought it was like a French thing where it's like, oh, it's Jean. The second group are shown on the far side of the balloon. According to the art historians Theresa Grimes, Judith Collins, and Aurenia Badley, a balloon sight and further repairs are about the activity, concentration, and absorption in the work generated by a group of endeavor, are central to their composition. Okay, that was a lot of reading. Barrage balloons. I'm gonna be very real. When I was a child, and like even up until like my very late teens, I thought barrage balloons were like just like decoys, and they were just like there to distract people. I didn't know they actually did anything, really. But this is very cool. I mean, I can see how this could inspire people, especially females. Women, of course, their role in the war was really sidelined. As far as I understand, the women that actually fought hard in the war, mind you, they all fought hard, obviously. But the women who like saw the like, most action were the Soviet women, as far as I understand. I mean, I could be wrong on that, obviously. I mean, of course, there's always the resistance, the French resistance, the Polish resistance. Their gender doesn't really matter when it comes to resistance groups, honestly. Pick up a rifle, basically. But yeah, this is really cool. Diana the Huntress Fountain. This will be very cool. Huntress Diana Fountain. Spanish, Fuente de la Diana Cazadora, is a sculpture situated within the roundabout at the intersection of Paseo de la Reforma and Rio, Mississippi, in Sevilla streets, on the border of the Calona. I cannot pronounce that. Coanofac. Yeah, see, it sounded also wrong. And Colonia Juarez, neighborhoods of Mexico City. I just offended so many people from Mexico. Oh, yeah, they're gonna get me. The fountain was designed by the Italian architect and sculptor Enrique Aliciotti and was unveiled in 1942. The centerpiece of the fountain is a bronze statue depicting Diana, Roman goddess of the hunt, on top of a stone pedestal with uh, decorative reliefs and motifs. Adjacent to the Huntress Diana Fountain, several landmarks bear homage to its iconic presence within Mexico City urban landscape. Among these notable sites are CM Diana, Diana Cinema, and two prominent skyscrapers, the Coberto Reforma Diana, also known as the Torre Reforma Diana, and Diana. History. Between the 1930s and 1960s, the capital authorities carried out different beautification projects that would involve the placement of various monuments and monumental fountains in the public space in tune with the mural involvement movement, with aesthetic influence of a socialist realism. Oh, socialism. Oh, ew. The then president of Mexico, Manuel Avila Camacho, or Camacho, through the region of the Federal District, Javier Rojo Gomez commissioned the construction of a fountain for the roundabout that was located in Paseo de la Roma, near the entrance to the Chalopec Forest. The project was given to the architect Vince Mendiola and the sculptor Juan Alagobil, who would jointly carry out other similar projects, such as the fountain of the Plaza California in Colonia de Val. Or I guess the Colonial Valley? I don't know. And the the oil fountain. The topic chosen by the commission agents was Diana, the Roman goddess of the hunt. On this fountain, instead of hunting animals, she would point her arrows towards the stars of the northern sky. The sculpture was made between April and September 1942. So let's see this bad boy. Very nice. Very cool. Oh, I actually really love how it's like these animals just shooting it out. The sculpting is interesting. Don't want to justify the object here, so I won't comment on the very obvious thing we can all see. But very cool, very nice. I dig it. It's not my favorite sculpture, but I like it nonetheless. The Nittany Lion Shrine. The Nittany Lion Shrine is a large mountain lion sculpture carved by Heinz Warnick, located at the University Park campus of Pennsylvania State University. Very lovely university, by the way. History. 20th century. The Nittany Lion Shrine at Pennsylvania State University was dedicated on October 24th, 1942, during homecoming. Emler Heinz Warnick and steelcutter Joseph Garotti created it from a 13-ton block of Indiana limestone. The shrine was chosen from 6 models submitted by Warnick. The shrine is a gift of the class of 1940 and rests at a natural setting of trees near the recreation building. 21st century. In 2013, the shrine was renovated to improve lighting at a sidewalk and a large decorative stones. The improvement was gifted by the Penn State class of 2012. Very cool. I mean, it's always nice to see, obviously, these things that are made improved over time. Not the actual thing itself. I mean, obviously, for some renovations to it itself, but the area around it is being changed to really add some feng shui to the whole vibe. Incidents. The 20th century incidents. In 1966, Sue Paterno, wife of football coach Joe Paterno, and a friend sincerely splashed oh my god, soluble orange paint on a Nittany Lion the week of the Syracuse game. On November 2nd, 1966, 6 Syracuse students drove from Syracuse to State College with an old air-loaded fire extinguishers filled with orange paint. Arriving on Penn State campus, they found a Nittany Lion statue flooded and deserted, completely clean. Oh my. Within minutes, they painted the lion, jumped back into their car, and drove away from the campus undetected. On the way out of town, they spotted a sign for Beaver Stadium and turned into the parking lot. They're prepared to paint the field's goalpost orange as well. Same police guarding the ABC television equipment for the Saturday game. Broadcast switched on the stadium lights and raced towards the end zone where the students were located. As the students fled, one of them became entangled, climbing over the 5-foot-high chain link fence surrounding the field. He was taken into custody by the police and released the following morning. Students were so I can't pronounce that word, I swear. Subsequently, there we go, brought before Syracuse University student court. but the case was dismissed as a simple college prank. Well, yeah, it was a prank, man. The Daily Orange published an editorial lauding the students and helped organize a fund of student donations to pay for a sandblasting required to remove the paint from the Enemy Line statue, a task which was completed on time by November 5th. I mean, it was a simple prank. It was nothing. It was nothing too big. I mean, it was the statue, the sculpture, whatever, was able to be cleaned up, fixed. So it's not a big deal. The prank reignited a tradition that had become dormant among Eastern football school rivalries. Attempts at similar pranks were then repeated many times in subsequent years. In 1978, the Lion Shrine was vandalized when a blunt object was used to break off a statue's right ear. The original sculptor Heinz Warnick was alive at the time and with some difficulty was able to match the stone and repair the damage to the ear. This incident led to the site being guarded during home games. The right ear was vandalized again in 1997. Come on. I mean, it's one thing to, dump paint and shit on it, but you're just trying to destroy the damn thing now. Not very cool. 21st century incidents. In 2003 and 2018, the Lion Shrine's ear was broken off again, but it was unclear whether or not it was from vandalism. It could have been from, obvious, signs of, its nature. Obviously, nature can do that, the lovely environment, depending how often it's renovated. But let us go here. Oh my, it's beautiful. I dig it. I might use this as my thumbnail. We'll see. This one could be a cool thumbnail too. I'm gonna be real. I'm not reading all this shit. It's not happening. The Pieta, 1942 to 1946, is a marble statue by Croatian artist Ivan Meštrović, housed in the Blissa of the Sacred Heart on the campus of the University of Notre Dame. It is considered one of his most celebrated works. Mitrovic conceived the work while in prison in Zagreb by the Ushli and sculpted it in Rome from a 6-ton block of Carrara marble. It's hence known as the Roman Pieta. I'm not pronouncing that from the Croatian part. Mitrovic also made several copies of the work, which are now held at the Ivan Mitrovic Gallery, Vatican Museums, and Pontifical Croatian College. Mitrovic brought the sculpture to America when he immigrated in 1946. The Pieta was housed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City from 1947 to 1955. As part of the exhibit dedicated to Mitrovic, the museum's first ever solo exhibition of living artists, Mitrovic refused the Yugoslav government's offer to buy the statue, instead opted to bring it to the University of Notre Dame in 1955, where it was placed in the Church of the Sacred Heart. The statue represents the Pieta, a subject in Christian art depicting Mary cradling the mortal body of Jesus after his descent from the cross, and is intended to embody the suffering of all of humanity. Oh. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not reading all that history. There's a lot there, and I'm already losing my damn voice. But let's take a gander at the actual piece. This looks actually really cool. Oh, I might use another Jesus related thumbnail. Oh my! Like this guy's this person's face really reminds me of Dishonored. There's these guys that are masked. So I know it's his actual face, but it reminds me of a mask from that game. But this is really cool. But yeah, that's today's episode. This has been a journey, a very fun journey. I've enjoyed this. I wish I didn't do this so late. It's just that it was raining and it was storming pretty loud, and I kind of lost power a few times, so I couldn't really do anything about that. Oh well, that's how it is. See you guys next time. Please like and subscribe for more, and peace.